Welcome to the Marriage Puzzle Podcast with Julie and Thomas Hobby. We are marriage coaches who help couples with pain points about money, intimacy, and communication go from being overwhelmed to being secure in their marriage.
If this is your first time listening to us, thanks for checking out our podcast. And don't forget to subscribe and leave us a rating and a review. Let's dive into this episode.
Hey everyone, thanks for hanging out with us again. We made it through having COVID last week and are feeling a little better. I'm still sounding a little funny, but but we're here and we're showing up for you on episode 47 to talk about when you can't have sex.
Yep.
We like talking about sex, money, and communication. And we were like, we haven't talked about sex in a while, but we're going to be really, really open and honest and talk about the season of life that we're in when we're not having sex right now. So usually we're telling you to have sex in your marriage and have lots of sex or often have sex often with your spouse. But there's sometimes seasons in life that it's not possible. So obviously we were sick last week, if you listened to last episode, and so we weren't really in the mood.
Right.
And then I'm a little over halfway through this pregnancy, and for some complications and stuff, was put on pelvic rest, and so it's not full bed rest, but pelvic rest is basically
A husband's worst nightmare.
Yes. When you hear that, you're like, wait, for how long? If you look it up, it basically, they're like, no heavy lifting, and they're like, and nothing in and out. So it's like, well, sex is off the table right now. And this is our window. Like, being pregnant is usually, some women, it's harder to stay intimate, I think, when you're, just the uncomfortableness of pregnancy. And then there's others that, like, your sex drive increases, and it was fun for us for a while, and it was great until, about 20 weeks. We're like, oh no. So we're going on about 3 weeks of pelvic rest with no end date yet. So
Yeah, and in all fairness, I'm pretty sure when we talked about having one more baby, one of the top things I said was pregnant sex is the best sex anyway. So that was one of my selling points.
Let's do it. And you're looking at the doctor like, what?
Wait a minute. This is bait and switch business that happened.
Anything for a healthy baby, right? But that's a season we're being really open and honest about. But there's other scenarios. We knew that was going to come, after you have a baby.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about that. Maybe you've had an injury, or spouse is hurt, or in like some kind of bed rest outside
surgery
of
or
having,
something like
exactly.
that. Yeah.
Could be anything that. So this is more of like when you can't have sex, like you're married and you can, but maybe for more medical reasons. And so that's why we're talking about why you can't have sex.
Yeah.
What to do when you can't have sex.
Yeah, this isn't
marriage.
really a choosing not to episode, because there are times where, in reality, it is a choice, right? And there are times where in our relationships where we choose to allow other things to get in the way. Our routines get too busy. We just don't make the time for each other and things like that. This is not an episode about that. I'm sure we'll have an episode about that at some point in the future. But this is kind of real time for us right now. So, when you actually can't. So one of the big things that, we just want to put out there in this is that this isn't a situation where you have to put your spouse's needs before your own. So if for some reason, like my wife is physically unable to right now, and so that's not her fault. So I can't, and even if it was really, I still can't walk around being grumpy because of this. We're at a fork in the road, and we can really make a choice to just, or I guess I could make a choice, but we really both could make a choice to just say, well, this is off limits, so we're just going to live separate lives essentially for the next, few months until the baby's born, and then the recovery after the baby. Or we can try to do things that continue to bring us closer on an intimacy level. so that when the time comes and we're able to have sex again, we're just both ready and drawn to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we kind of do that separate lives thing for the next few months, and it's just like, well, I'm just going to go do my thing, you go do your thing, because we can't do anything together, then we have to then start at zero from the point where you're physically able to do so again.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have to really kind of build up all this momentum. Whereas if we work on it now on the intimacy side of things and we stay close in our relationship, then we're not starting at zero. We're starting at like 80. And,
Right.
you
And
know,
we'll
we
get
only
there.
have, you know, it's just going to be a lot easier. So,
Yeah, because this is just a temporary season, or the
Mhm.
season that you're in. If you find yourself in this situation, it really is temporary. Everything in life is a season.
Mhm.
It's just when you're in it, you feel like there is no end to that. You know, we don't have an end date for this condition or whatever we've been told, and so it feels like this is gonna be like forever. But it's not. It's just when you're in it is harder than when you're out of it looking back. And so I think because we can't be connected physically right now, we've had to really work on not having like an emotional abandonment. Like you said, where, you know, you get the green light and you can be physical again, but you're like, wait a minute.
I don't even know you.
We've put wedges between us
Yeah.
and just kind of pushed each other away. And then that's not healthy. So I think finding things that make you feel closer to your spouse, even without the act of sex, can help shift your relationship in a big way.
Mhm.
So as hard as it is, we're kind of trying to lean into this season and learn from it ourselves. And then that's how we can speak from it in this episode with 6 ideas, 6 things you can do when you can't have sex.
Yeah. And so let's kick things off with number 1. You can spend some time cuddling. And you may do this anyway, but this can be an extra important thing when you actually can't have sex. This can be fully clothed on the couch while you're just watching TV at the end of the night, or it can be completely naked in bed. But obviously, there is the limitation of you can't have sex in this scenario. And so, but feeling the embrace of your spouse can provide a true feeling of intimacy. That's the person that you love. And so just feeling that embrace and knowing that in this scenario, yeah, it stinks, but you've got each other's back still, like in a literal sense in this
Mhm.
scenario, then that just can really change the feeling of the situation. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so spend time cuddling, and 2, I would say take a bath together. Like
This is your
this is
favorite
mine.
thing.
I put this on the list. But Thomas does embrace this. It was important for me to have a big bathtub, but I know you can make it work. Because the reason why is or shower together or something, whatever your thing is. It's because being naked around each other, and then also learning to relax, it's, you know, in a bath, like it's actually harder than it sounds and harder than it seems, because so many of us in our marriages, like we can take our clothes off to be intimate, but it's more of just like kind of like, or just get this over with, or do this act. Can you actually just sit there with no clothes and just be comfortable in your own skin and relax and talk? And that's, I think, the greater, you know, reach for true intimacy. And that's why this setting can, you know, bring y'all together.
Well, and just because you can't have intercourse doesn't mean there's not other things that some of these could lead to.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as, you know, in an injury situation that's physically able to happen, then that's okay.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, obviously you'll have to take into consideration, you know, if your spouse has 2 broken arms, that could be a problem, you know.
I guess
But
we should have opened with this. We're not getting into like other forms of fulfillment, I guess.
Right.
I don't know what word to use there. This is more of like intimacy than you know, like a finishing act of sexual intercourse.
But your situation, depending on what's happening
Right.
in a situation like this,
You can
you
still
may
be
be able to
intimate.
see what you can and can't do, and how far you need to go. If it's just everything is off limits, that's okay. That's what we're trying to help with, and leading that into number 3, which is really away from anything sexual, is just do something that's out of routine together. This could be taking some type of a dance class or dance break in your kitchen or bedroom or something like that. You could play a board game together or video games together. Bake a cake together. There's probably plenty of YouTube videos that you can watch on how to make some new dessert or the stuff and do it. This can be a serious thing or a silly thing. Either way, to just kind of get that spark to ignite and do something. And ideally, what you're looking to do here is just something different than you normally would do. A lot of times for us, we spend our evenings, we just relax on the couch, we watch some shows on TV, and that's it. And we can get stuck in that rut. And so it's basically, for us, it's anything besides that.
Right.
Find something to do that's not that. And so it doesn't have to be out of your comfort zone. Like the dancing thing would probably be out of my comfort zone. So find something that's within your comfort zone that you will actually enjoy and that will actually make you enjoy the time with your spouse. It just needs to be out of your routine, not out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, it'd be like, are you growing closer together or drifting apart, which was an episode we've done way back, I think in our 15 lessons after 15 years of marriage. And then 2 episodes ago, we just talked about boredom in marriage. And I think that's just kind of how things began. And so changing up the routine will help you become closer and then be able to be intimate when that time comes. And I would say any of those ideas that you just listed, you could do with or without clothes on. So whatever your comfort. You said out of your comfort zone, so maybe.
Be careful with like the baking, aspect of it.
You could put an apron on.
Yeah, apron's fine. Just.
But our 4th tip is
we don't want to be getting sued by anyone who is like, they told me to bake naked and I burned myself.
Oh my goodness.
That's not my fault.
It's a whole nother injury then.
Lack of common sense is not necessarily our fault. So
well, this one's a little bit more low key. I would say number 4 is sleep together. But that's not sex. So
and that's not your everyday
go to bed together. Yeah, like when we were sick, Thomas and I took a nap together, and that wasn't our norm. Actually, I don't know if anyone listening, if you take naps or not, but we were just so sick. But we took a nap, but to like do that at the same time together, it was again out of our routine. So again, not meaning sex, but just sleeping together, like curled up or just drifting off. That's even as trusting each other enough to simply fall asleep together outside of maybe a normal routine is incredibly intimate. But I would lean into more of an evening. I think some spouses drift on that. We as well have different
bedtimes.
I was gonna say, like, I get tired, especially being pregnant, a lot faster and earlier than Thomas. But we've made it intentional that not every night, it's not that I go to bed and I never go to bed with you, like there are times that you'll go up to bed with me and then you'll watch a show on your phone or something because you're not ready to fall asleep. But just being in the bed with you, it feels like we're more connected. We can, touch, cuddle, give each other a kiss goodnight. That's still intimacy. I think that you can cultivate even if you have different sleeping habits.
And number 5, give each other a massage. Figure out, where some pain points are for your spouse and actually really try to help alleviate some of that pain. And, if they're stressed, they're going to be carrying that, and you can just, the touch of your spouse can really go a long way in helping to relieve that stress. It shows them that you're there to support them physically and mentally, and it allows them to kind of alleviate that stress. And again, this doesn't have to be a sexual thing. This is a putting your spouse's needs before your own. And doing something like that, you can really truly put your spouse's needs before your own, especially if you're not trying any sexual advances during that time.
And the last tip we have when you can't have sex is kissing. I mean, before you were having sex in your relationship, you probably enjoyed, the hot makeout sessions. And then they go away because you can kind of then replace it with this hot sex moment, but bring back the kissing, and it will help your sex life later when you're able to do that. But right now, if that's the season you're in, don't forget about just kissing and kind of, embracing a long makeout session. It kind of goes with the massage, just getting used to touching each other without either like the further advance, like, oh, you just want me for my body. Like, I really love you and I'm passionate about you, and your body's nice to feel too, but we can stop there. So that's why number 6 is kissing. But basically, being intimate with your partner in more ways than just sex doesn't have to be complex. I mean, these are just the 6 things that we came up with, but I'm already thinking more as we record this. So it's like you're probably thinking of other ways now that can kind of spark your mind. But by challenging your relationship to find romance in places other than physical intercourse, you can introduce versatility to your affection, and it can keep intimacy in your relationship. And then, of course, that will then lead to true connection with your spouse, no matter what you're going through together.
Boom. Mic drop. So that's it. Just find some ways, if you're going through a situation like this right now, find some, one of these that works for you. Start somewhere. Don't allow your relationship to start drifting apart. Because when the time comes and you get through this season, like we said earlier, you don't want to be starting at 0 and having to really build all of that up. You can do other things now that will allow you to be starting to have that momentum already rolling a little bit when the time comes.
Yeah.
So you can get right back into the swing of things. So thanks so much for being here. If this is your first time, thanks for checking out the Marriage Puzzle podcast. Make sure you go follow us on social media at Marriage Puzzle. And you can go check out our website, marriagepuzzle.com. And as you heard in the beginning of the episode, Julie and I are marriage coaches. We'd love to have the opportunity to interact with you on a couple-to-couple level. So you can go to our website and schedule a free discovery call with us, and we can see what we can do to help out your marriage. And as always, we look forward to you joining us next week. We're together. We'll work on marriage one puzzle piece at a time. See you later.
Bye.